Good Thursday morning, everyone, and welcome into today's daily Bible reading for January the 5th. Today we are reading together in Genesis chapter 6. Thanks so much for tuning in today. Let me go and get the text up on the screen for us so we can get to reading here in Genesis chapter 6. So far, we've seen the creation in chapters 1 and 2. We've seen the fall in chapter 3. We've read about Cain and Abel and their varying lineages in chapters 4 and 5. And today we're going to get into what I believe to be the second great event that has truly shaped the world as we know it, which is the flood and the just absolutely pervasive sinful condition of the earth prior to the flood. We're going to read about that today, but read about the one who found grace and favor in God's sight, which is Noah. Let's read here together in Genesis chapter 6 and verse number 1. Genesis chapter 6, verse number 1. When mankind began to multiply on the earth, and daughters were born to them, the sons of God saw that the daughters of mankind were beautiful, and they took any they chose as wives for themselves. And the Lord said, My spirit will not remain with mankind forever, because they are corrupt. Their days will be 120 years. The Nephilim were on the earth both in those days and afterward, when the sons of God came to the daughters of mankind who bore children to them. They were the powerful men of old, the famous men. When the Lord saw that human wickedness was widespread on the earth, and that every inclination of the human mind was nothing but evil all the time, the Lord regretted that he made man on the earth, and he was deeply grieved. Then the Lord said, I will wipe mankind whom I created off the face of the earth, together with the animals, creatures that crawl, and birds of the sky, for I regret that I made them. Noah, however, found favor with Yahweh, the Lord. Verse number 9, these are the family records of Noah. Noah was a righteous man, blameless among his contemporaries. Noah walked with God. And Noah fathered 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Now the earth was corrupt in God's sight, and the earth was filled with wickedness. God saw how corrupt the earth was, for every creature had corrupted its way on the earth. Then God said to Noah, I have decided to put an end to every creature, for the earth is filled with wickedness because of them. Therefore, I am going to destroy them along with the earth. Make for yourself an ark of gopher wood. Make rooms in the ark and cover it with pitch inside and outside. This is how you are to make it. The ark will be 450 feet long, 75 feet wide, and 45 feet high. You are to make a roof, finishing the sides of the ark to within 18 inches of the roof. You are to put a door in the side of the ark, make it with lower, middle, and upper decks. Understand that I am bringing a floodwaters on the earth to destroy every creature under heaven with the breath of life in it. Everything on earth will perish. But I will establish my covenant with you, and you will enter the ark with your sons, your wife, and your sons' wives. You are also to bring into the ark 2 of all the living creatures, male and female, to keep them alive with you. 2 of everything, from the birds according to their kinds, from the livestock according to their kinds, and from the animals that crawl on the ground according to their kinds, will come to you so that you can keep them alive. Take with you every kind of food that is eaten. Gather it as food for you and for them. And Noah did this. He did everything that God commanded him. And that is Genesis chapter 6. As we're getting into this section, again, I believe this is the the second of 3 world-shaping events that take place within the first 11 chapters of Genesis. This one involving the pervasive sin that was currently present on the earth. This sin is described as human wickedness being widespread on the earth. Every inclination of the human mind was nothing but evil all the time. What a horrible, horrible situation for the earth to find itself in. To begin with, go back to chapter 3, there was sin that was just present in the garden, and then Adam and Eve were expelled from the garden. Well, now it seems as if the influence of sin has now become so pervasive that just everywhere you look upon the earth, there was evil everywhere. No one was displaying uh, the character of God. Whenever God looked at the world, just as we mentioned with Cain and Abel, he looked at Abel, he saw himself. He looked at Cain, he did not see himself. Whenever God looked at the world, he did not see himself any longer. He just saw those who were evil and wicked and living in abject rebellion to him. The sons of God and the daughters of mankind being one of the chief sins that I mentioned there. And that's a debated issue there. Who exactly are the sons of God that join themselves together with daughters of mankind? There are numerous explanations, from things very simple as those who are of Cain's lineage mixing with those of Seth's lineage. Then there's a little more maybe out there type of explanations that these were spiritual beings that joined themselves together with the daughters of mankind. Be honest, that one almost makes more sense to me in this text, because there are these things called Nephilim that are said to be a result of the union between the sons of God and the daughters of man. These Nephilim seem to be really incredible people. They're described later on as being basically giant type of people. I don't know. So for me, I mean, I guess I just don't have a an immediate pushback to this type of thing happening. I guess it just doesn't bother me that much to think about supernatural mixing with the natural. I mean, we ourselves are natural creations with the supernatural component ourselves and our souls and such. So to me, that just doesn't bother me that bit. But I mean, it's neither here nor there. I have no issue with people thinking that it's much more simple, being being those belonging to Cain to those belonging to Seth. That's fine as well. But regardless of the identity of those who are sitting here, those who are living in again abject rebellion to God, we see that the result of it. The result is pervasive sin all the way throughout the world. Think about how much sin we see around us, and then think about that to an even greater degree, such a great degree that God would even regret. That God would regret that whenever he looked at the world, he sighed deeply within himself, just so frustrated and so heartbroken that there is such sin upon the earth, that he feels as if there is no other nothing else for them to do except for him to basically destroy the earth and start over again. And yet the one who he's going to start over with is Noah. I want to note that Noah found favor with the Lord. And later on, it's going to say he found favor with the Lord because Noah walked with God. That same thing was said about Enoch. We know Enoch was there and then was not, because God took him because he walked with God. Well, here is Noah being delivered as well. Noah found favor with the Lord. He found grace with the Lord because he followed in Enoch's character. He walked by faith with God, and God responded with grace. He's still going to take care of the sin of the world. He's still going to destroy everything. We see that in the following verses. But again, he shows grace to Noah by allowing him to create this ark so that he and his family can be saved, and so they can restart the human population on the other side of the flood. Again, this is grace being shown from God toward Noah for his faithfulness to him, so that he can now be the new Adam. Basically, what God is doing, in a sense, if we're going to take and kind of unpack the imagery that's given here, we go back to chapter 1 and we have the chaos imagery of almost raging water, and there being unsettledness upon the earth, and that God brings peace to everything. He brings order to everything. He brings shape and a calmness to everything. Well, now he's going to reintroduce the chaos in a sense. He's going to destroy the world through the chaotic power of water, and yet he's going to bring that under submission again. He's going to retract the flood, and his second Adam, in a sense, Noah, is going to begin with his family, and they are going to be the roots of mankind moving forward at this time. And Noah was given something that no one had with God up to this point. And that was a covenant. That God makes a covenant with Noah. I will establish my covenant with you, and you will enter the ark with your sons, your wife, and your wife's sons. You are to bring the ark into the ark, bring into the ark two of all the living creatures, male and female, to keep them alive with you. Two of everything. Again, skimming down to verse 17. Take with you two of every kind of food that is eaten, gather it as food for you and for them. And notice that Noah did this. He did everything that God had commanded him. Noah showed faithfulness to God on the front end, and that caused God to show his favor and grace toward him. But notice how Noah responds with continued obedience, continued faithfulness. Noah did everything exactly as God told him to do it. He trusted God. He obeyed God. And that is the proper response to grace. That's what I want to leave us with today. What is our proper response to God's grace? Some would say, well, God's grace has saved us, and we can do whatever we want to, and his grace will continue to cover us. It will continue to grant us forgiveness. We don't have to worry about it. Just thank goodness for God's grace. Well, I don't see that here within the text. Noah didn't respond with living however he wanted to based on God's grace. No, he responded with trust and obedience. And friends, that's our responsibility as well. Our responsibility is to respond to God with trust and obedience based upon his grace. May we do that each and every day. May we follow the example of Noah and trust in him no matter the circumstances that we might find ourselves in. I appreciate you tuning in to our reading today for January the 5th here in Genesis 6. Hope that you'll tune in tomorrow as we read the flood narrative in chapters 7 and 8 together. I want to just take a minute to express how much we appreciate everybody's prayers for us right now with Katie's difficulties with her pregnancy right now. She's still resting up and hoping that the situation, the bleeding, will resolve itself. We are left in a position like, no, all we can do is trust in the Lord at this point. That's all we can do. There's not much else we can do except trust in him and continue to pray. And we want to let you know how much we appreciate your prayers as well. We truly believe in the great power of prayer. And though we might ask for the Lord to bring healing and to bring a happy resolution to this, we recognize that might not happen, but that God is still good. And we ask that you not only pray for there to be healing, but that you would pray for us to continue to trust in him regardless of the outcome, knowing that's just possible. But regardless, our trust needs to remain in him, knowing that he is good, and whatever happens, he remains good, and he will continue to be with us as we go throughout this process. Hopefully, it will resolve itself in a positive way soon, but we'll definitely keep everybody up to date. We appreciate so much your love, your concern, and your prayers for us. We're thankful for our church family in Loudon. Thanks again for tuning in today to this reading. Hope you'll do it again tomorrow as we get into chapter 7 and 8. Take care. God bless.